The gaming industry is cooked. It's done. Just pack it up, boys. It's never going to get better. Every single time you think that these companies are going to do the one right thing by you, the customer and consumer, they turn right back around, do the opposite thing, try to increase prices on you, try to make you pay for more stuff, give you less access, give you less content, give you less product, and then smile in your face and ask for more money. All at the same time, those same morons on Twitter and websites will turn around and twist themselves into a pretzel trying to defend these companies that do that exact same thing. We see it happen with Nintendo. We've seen it happen with Xbox, and we see it happen with PlayStation. We see it happen with Nvidia and even AMD. Every single company in this gaming industry is doing everything they possibly can to the customer and consumer. And yet for some reason, every single time there tends to be an interview with an ex-CEO or an ex-head of a company, it's always the company man inside and out doing whatever they can to defend these companies and corporations. It is literally the most sickening thing I've honestly ever seen. And the crazier part is when the fandom of those companies and corporations do whatever they can to twist themselves into a pretzel to defend the money that they're spending or defend a product that they purchase, and then try to go ahead and convince you that you're wrong because you don't want to give the company more money, or you don't have access to a product, or you don't have actual ownership of the product that you purchased. Every single time. And it's so annoyingly exhausting to go ahead and have to sit here and fight this. But you know what? That's what I'm gonna do, because apparently, again, in another day that ends in Y, Ekbok bad once again. I'm never beating the allegations, apparently. Just never. Just never doing it, because the company that has been consistently anti-consumer since their existence, Microsoft, okay, has been actively anti-consumer, has done the one pro-consumer thing, which is make Xbox Game Pass, providing you a cheap alternative to play tons of games, is now apparently going to be the death of the gaming industry. I couldn't make it up if I tried. I couldn't. No, I couldn't. No, it's true. Apparently, Xbox is the reason the gaming industry is falling apart, and Xbox Game Pass is the catalyst that has caused all of this. No, it's not the fact that people are spending $700 to $800 on consoles. No, it's not the fact game companies are charging you $80 for video games while putting $100 microtransactions into those same video games as well. No, it's not the fact that we've had two price increases on games in the same generation. It's not the fact that GPUs are now costing anywhere between $1,000 to $2,000 when the high-end GPUs used to cost only $700. It can't be the fact that we're now required to always be connected to the internet, so even the products that we purchase, we don't actually own unless we are always online checking in like to mom, oh, I'm still here, I'm the real one that bought the game, I promise, I swear. And at the same time, buying a physical disc, which I will put into quotes, when you buy that disc, it's nothing more than a coaster as a game key because there's only 800 megs of data on the disc. But yeah, instead of all of those things, that's not the problem. No, the real problem, Ekbok Game Pass. You want to play tons of games for a cheap price every month? That's bad. You know how I talked about like the Xbox tax isn't real? Apparently I'm wrong. But let's go ahead and talk about why I'm bringing this up today, because apparently Shuhei Yoshida has been making the rounds, doing every single interview and podcast he possibly can after being cut out by PlayStation directly. And ever the company man, Shuhei is now possibly blaming Xbox Game Pass as the reason why the gaming industry will stagnate and won't advance. No, I'm not kidding. Let's see what happened. In an interview with GameDeveloper.com, Shuhei said this: former PlayStation boss and indie advocate Shuhei Yoshida believes the rise and potential dominance of subscription services like Xbox Game Pass could become quote-unquote dangerous for developers eager to push the envelope. Speaking to Game Developer at Gamescom LATAM, the industry veteran explained subscription services are quote-unquote great if you're allowed inside the walled garden. The concern, he suggests, is that they inevitably expand on a bedrock of first-party titles. It will become harder for third-party studios and indies to cross that divide. If the only way for people to play games is through subscriptions, that's really dangerous, because what type of games can be created will be dictated by the owner of the subscription service, he says. That's really, really risky, because there must always be fresh new ideas tried by small developers that create the next wave of development. But if the big companies dictate what games can be created, I don't think that will advance the industry. Can somebody tell Shuhei that he's been missing out in the last 10 years of the gaming industry plus already? Everybody's trying to be Fortnite. The service of Game Pass has nothing to do with the lack of advancement in the gaming industry. The reason why the industry is lacking advancement is already happening right now by those big studios and publishers. It has nothing to do how you actually purchase to play the game. Buying a game physically or digitally directly has no bearing or resemblance on actually purchasing a service to play that game at all. Mostly because right now the gaming industry has zero ideas on what to do with video games. Every game right now is trying to be a live service product, and PlayStation themselves are spending millions of dollars to do that as well. Hell, probably over $1 billion already. $500 million for Concord, already down the drain. And let's not forget Marathon. That was going to go triple cardboard, trust me. But the thing is this, watching PlayStation turn right around and say, hey, we're going to do live service games, and go ahead at the same time and have 12 live service games in development at the exact same time, all the while canceling all of them with all their ideas and everything else flushed down the toilet to restart everything all over again. That is just one facet of the gaming industry. That has nothing to do with Game Pass or PS Plus or the services themselves. That has everything to do, however, with the publishers directly and what the publisher thinks is going to make the most amount of money. We see this consistently over and over again. The actual rising cost and insane bloated budgets of every single AAA video game come out the pipe, where instead of actually maintaining their budgets correctly and providing a proper scope for the game, all these companies do is make the graphics prettier, make them go ahead and do photo mode and zoom in on their eyeballs so that way they can post the pictures on Twitter and make the veins show really high def when everything is just standing still. But then go ahead at the same time, and when the game is in motion, slap motion blur everywhere so it looks like you're just puking all over the place, and put it at 30 FPS. Yeah, that's... way to go, guys. The problem that I have with Shuhei's comments is it's not about how someone is playing the game. It's about the industry itself and what they're looking for and what kind of games they're finding as to be actually viable to go ahead and put money behind. Every single time we see the exact same thing. We make the exact same joke about PlayStation's third-person, cover-based action-adventure game with stealth elements. And they use that exact same formula in practically every single game that they've put out now. And it's become boring, broken, and rote. And honestly, that's exactly why PlayStation is nowhere what it used to be, in my personal opinion. They are a shell of their former self. Everybody at that studio right now is literally standing on the shoulders of giants while taking a shit on that actual shoulder, and then complaining that the past isn't as good as things are right now, even though nobody has any new creative ideas. And what I really want to do is tie back to Shuhei's comment about the types of games that are being created. Again, it has nothing to do with how people are consuming the product, but it has everything to do with the actual return that publishers are going to be seeing to try and maximize that directly. Games themselves in the industry has grown to exponential heights, and watching developers literally use people like DSP, Darkside Phil, as their barometer for how video games should be developed is exactly why we're in this mess in the first place. Again, nothing to do with the subservice, everything to do with the publisher and developer themselves directly. There are no good new ideas anymore, but when a good new idea comes through, it's not the actual fault of Game Pass or the service, it's the fact that people are starving for something new and fresh. Expedition 33 is a perfect example. Or the fact that older games are clearly, in fact, better. Oblivion Remastered literally proves that today, right now. The hype around that game of its release shattered all expectations of going on, and it was literally a remaster of a 360 game. Like, that's the kind of thing people are craving now. They don't want cinematic movie games. They don't want live service games to take up 90 hours of a work week to play. They want to be able to take a video game, play the video game, and enjoy the video game. They don't want to be hit with microtransactions on a consistent basis. They don't want to be time gated on actually playing the game. They don't want to have to go through a cutscene consistently to actually play the fucking thing in the first place. We're playing a PlayStation game? Yeah, let me just go ahead and just... That's how we play. That's how it's done, apparently. Yeah, it's just, you just put the controller down, you touch it every now and then to do the cutscene and the QTE, gameplay, done. I think Shuhei is conflating two very different things. I think Shuhei believes that because a service becomes ubiquitous in how someone actually plays a game, that is going to dictate the kind of games that are going to be made. When in reality, we're seeing that right now when Game Pass is not as ubiquitous as it could be. We're seeing every single studio basically just copy each other over and over again. We're seeing game developers literally lose their mind over games like Baldur's Gate 3 and Elden Ring, saying things like, we'll never be able to make these kinds of games ever, even though 30 baguettes in a shack were able to make an RPG for $50 that everybody else gets to play, and it's shattering sales records. Like, what is going on here? The service isn't the problem. The problem is the industry and its inability to go through and make bets on smaller AA games. The problem is the industry unable to go through and manage their budgets correctly. The problem is the industry and its inability to go through and say, hey, we should create a new IP that has a smaller install base in the beginning and then build that install base over time through proper sequels, expanding the gameplay, expanding the story, and then properly expand the budget so that way it doesn't get overblown. And then we spend all that money, and then we lose all that money, and then we fire everybody else and start the cycle all over again because it wasn't that one big shot return in the first place. This concept and this idea that Shuhei has about the service will dictate the kind of games being made is honestly ridiculous. What's dictating the games being made right now is the consumer and customer spending their money on those games. And that is what is signaling to the actual investors and publishers and developers that these are the games to make. The problem is when you play the same kind of game over and over and over again with no variance, then you're going to go ahead and get bored and stop playing video games. You need to have the spice of life, which is variety, by the way. And the service is not going to hinder that spice of life. Expedition 33 is a great example. I had no idea the kind of game it was going to be. In fact, when I first saw it, I thought it was just going to be another UE Engine 5 slop game, and it turns out to be exactly what I've always wanted to play in an RPG in the modern era. And it was on the service. So literally, what's the problem? The game developer article continues by saying this, discussing Xbox Game Pass and how Microsoft has evolved the platform by adding more first-party titles while also regaining on its initial pledge to bring every single Xbox Game Studio project to the service on day one. Yoshida said the company might have bitten off more than it can chew. While acknowledging his own bias as a former PlayStation exec, Yoshida suggested Sony's take on the subscription model through PlayStation Plus, which has seen the company make major first-party titles available to subscribers, but only after a traditional premium release, was perhaps quote-unquote healthier. I believe the way Sony approached subscriptions is healthier. Not to overpromise and to allow people to spend money to buy the new games, he added. After a couple of years, there won't be many people willing to buy these games at that initial price, so they'll be added to the subscription service, and there'll be more people to try those products in time for the next game in the franchise to come out. And this is my biggest problem, right? People talk about the health of the gaming industry, and I get Yoshida has his own bias towards PlayStation. Everybody's got biases. I'm not denying that. The problem, though, is when we're talking about what is going to be healthy for the gaming industry, they don't mean what's healthy for you, the customer and consumer. No. What they mean is what's healthy for their bottom line and their pocketbook. That's where I'm having the biggest problem with all of this. People are conflating health of the gaming industry and using that as some sort of like shield and defense to go ahead and defend other game companies to in fact charge more money for video games, not put games into the service day and date for you to actually play at a cheap, lower price, not going around and discounting their games or their consoles or their hardware or their GPUs or anything else along that matter, but instead raising the price because they have zero ability to in fact maintain or manage their budgets. The health of the gaming industry, I'm going to be very honest and upfront about this, is none of my concern. You know what my concern is? Getting an actual product that I paid for, that I actually own, and that is actually mine. 3 actuallys in a row. 4 now. Make it count. That's where I have the biggest amount of rage for all of this. Using something so pedantic as like the health of the gaming industry is truly mind-numbing to me. The health of the gaming industry is already into the toilet, where we are seeing, again, consoles cost $700 to $800, and every other myriad of lists that I can point out where every company is trying to squeeze every red cent out of your pocket. If the industry was in fact truly healthy, they more than likely wouldn't need to do that to you now, would they? Think about it. But no, we haven't been healthy since the actual 2020s, when everybody was stuck inside and companies saw the top of the mountain where they could realize, oh, this is how much money we can make? Well, we got to make that money again. This is not an anomaly, ladies and gentlemen. This has to be the consistent thing over and over again. Come hell or high water, we got to make that red line go up every single time. And they're doing it in front of you right now. That's why they raise the price of these consoles and games. They're going to blame tariffs whenever they possibly can, or market conditions, or the struggle of the economy. But the thing is, if they really wanted to sell you the product, they discount it. This is the first time in gaming history where we have consoles go up in price multiple times and games go up in price multiple times in a generation, when it should be the opposite direction. Right now, the PS5 should be $299. The PS5 Pro should be $499. Ooh, hot take, I know on that one. And it should already come with the disc drive for the $499 and the stand. If they really wanted to sell that product, that's exactly what they would do. But they're not doing it because they know that they're trying to squeeze out more money from you that they possibly can, and use every excuse in the book to do that directly. Same with Xbox. That Series S, that baby should be $99, boy. Just like when the GameCube was $49 and that boy was near the end of its life cycle. Yeah, that's where that thing should be right now. The Series X, that baby should be $299. I'm just calling it like it is, my guys. That's the problem. Every game company is going around and saying, you know what? How far can we squeeze things? How much more can we pull from these people before they lash out back at us? And when they do that, they'll cross that line. They'll go ahead, they'll get backlash, they'll pull back a little bit, and then inch forward closer once again. Because the thing is, there is no health of the gaming industry. It is literally how much money can we extract from you before you scream, cry, shit, piss, moan, and come in pain. And that's where I am truly aggravated at Shuhei's comments and his idea of this entire process, blaming Xbox Game Pass for the possible lack of actual new kinds of games or the type of games being designed for a specific service, when literally right now we are sitting in a drought of ideas and new concepts simply because game publishers don't want to spend the budget on it because it is not proven to return on investment. And at the same time, talking about the health of the gaming industry, even though the industry itself right now is in complete collapse because everybody's trying to charge more money, but at the same time squeezing out actual price sensitive customers, all for the sake of the higher profit at return of the end of the year and quarter. It's almost like you've been getting ripped off the entire time but have failed to see it, and that's what aggravates me so much, because the people that accept these kinds of business practices impact someone like me, who is in fact price sensitive, who doesn't want to pay more for games, who doesn't want to go ahead and give these companies more money for less product. That hurts everybody else when you have that small minority group going around defending these practices, defending these price increases, spending all that extra money, and it signals to the company, hey, looks like we can get away with this and squeeze everybody else out and only keep these whales to keep us afloat. And that's exactly what's happening right now. That is not a healthy gaming industry. Providing more options to the customer consumer to play more games at a cheaper price, to bring more people to actually buy your product or buy your service or bring them in, is the right way of doing it. Being pro-consumer is a healthy gaming industry, because if you're pro-consumer, then the customer says, hey, you did a good thing for me, I'll do a good thing for you. Here's more money. Give me more product. Transaction over. We're having a great time. And that's what everybody is missing right now, is the fact that these companies aren't doing anything for you. They're only doing things for them. But in reality, you're the one with the money. You're the one with the power. Don't let them gaslight you into falling for any of their tricks. It's exactly what they're trying to do to you right now. But you know what? Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments section down below. Are you in agreement with what Shuhei says, or not. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. If you want to see more of this kind of content, more PC port reviews, gaming news, Steam Deck videos, fanboy content, live streams every Saturday night, 8:45 p.m. Eastern on this here channel, subscribe. We're on our way to 84,000 subs, and I just want to say thank you guys very much. If you want Discord access or remote during live streams, become a YouTube member. It's as low as $1. If you don't want to spend the buck, don't sweat it. Saturday nights, 8:45 p.m. Eastern. Trust me, it's a hell of a show. You don't want to miss it. With all that being said, though, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great one, and I'll see you next time. Peace!